Thank you.
Yep.
Maybe this was already asked, I was
Yep.
late, sorry.
Nope.
When is the breaking ground targeted for?
So breaking ground, kind of two points of this. So the LFI, which was the contract was awarded, it hasn't been approved, like finalized, but awarded for the bus garage. So that's gonna start in April, May-ish time. Nevin Copic starts coming down in June after students are out. And then the early site package, which goes along with the DD design, will go out at like the end of May. So then they'll start getting bids to do the groundwork, just start doing some excavating then. So I would expect August now is looking at start doing work, but you'll start seeing the fences and things like that, you know, cordon off the construction area coming up probably, maybe even in June for that. At least around that will happen, but I think right now, you know, it's still good. It's going to happen in 2027. I just don't think it's not going to happen in August now. This process has taken a lot longer with going from HELP to OFCC and then getting involved that. It just delayed a lot of pieces that we didn't have in place.
So the kids will start in the new building in 2027, is what you're
Some,
thinking?
yeah, we're anticipating a 2027, but maybe like December 2027, not
I
August.
think they did that in high school.
They
They
did.
built the new high school. They were
They moved
thinking
in
they were
in
gonna be
March.
in, but they didn't move until.
And that's,
After a 2-week spring break.
we're still gonna push to get
Thing
it,
on
the sooner the better for everybody. But it's gonna be, and then obviously, getting them into the building, you still have the middle school there that will still need to be come down. We're gonna have to work around that piece too, because obviously, we can't do anything in middle school until the kids are out,
Right.
so.
Remind me, something about the bus garage and the heating or something is, what's that?
It's connected, the bus garage and Nevin Copic are connected.
That's what, okay.
Yeah, well, the heating for Nevin Copic came from the bus garage, so that's where the furnace was that supplied heat to Nevin Copic. Just like at Broadway, the furnaces are in the bus maintenance garage, which is separate, and that's why when, 3 years ago, when the heat went, it got shut down, that part of the building, they had to put that fence in the middle. There's a wooden fence there now that used to be a U driveway, but they had to do that because that's what they needed to redo the piping and things from the bus garage furnaces over to Broadway to supply heat.
To put it above ground and not have to dig to go underneath where it is.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a question from online, just somebody else, but it has never been answered. So, can you kind of explain a little bit about the plans for tornadoes? Because the assertion there, and I don't know because I haven't looked at all of the schematics, but that there's no tornado hardening, and especially because it is a third-story building, the feasibility of shoving 1,800 students away from windows and doors on the first floor of that building, or if is tornado hardening. Can you talk about that a little bit?
So again, code will require everything we need, and just like we have in all of our buildings, there's tornado shelter areas designated for every kid. There's also hidden fire escapes. You go to any classroom, it tells you there's a map on every classroom that tells you where you're supposed to go for there. So this will be no different. The school will still have tornado areas for kids and staff to go to in case of emergency.
Will that'll be on the first floor then?
I
Because
assume a lot
with
of.
the old design, when there was barbell design, they said there was extra concrete and extra stuff in the walls and between the first and second floor. So now you're adding the third floor, so will all those kids from the third and the second floor congregate down onto the first floor where that's all hardened?
There's gonna be some things with code that will have to be addressed with that. I don't have the specifics on that piece, but
Because
everything
that-
will be code.
Yeah, there's one hallway, one educational hallway. So if you're bringing all those kids down to that one hallway and all the staff, there just doesn't seem to be enough room to do that. So, I mean, that's why the barbell approach was much better, and that's what was sold to the public back when the levy went on, was the barbell. You know, 2 sides, K through 4, 5 to 8 on the other side with all the extras in the middle. And now we're up to this 3-story building, and it just doesn't seem that safe. And
Well,
also, I wanna
again,
ask about the
everything-
stairwells as well.
Everything's gonna meet code. I'm not gonna get into an architectural battle with this. The codes for all buildings will be met. OFCC is going to make sure those things are in place. The Miami County Planning Commission, they make sure all codes are being met. We're gonna have to go through that planning process. All those things will happen. And as you go from steel, from block, I don't know the specifics of, does that make it stronger, make it easier to withhold versus a, CMU block building? I think there's some things like that that need to be, that are the architectural piece that would be taken into account. So this is going to be a safe building, just like every other school building we have. I'm not concerned about those pieces because we're gonna make sure it meets code and we're gonna make sure that the work is done to a high level. And that's our responsibility.
So the kids will still be coming down the first floor. I mean, that's what we hear when the tornado's coming around, is get to the lowest floor. So you're still bringing kids from 3rd floor all the way down to this 1st floor where there's only one little hallway. That's the thing, and I mean, the school board voted no on the storm shelter back when it was a barbell approach, because Garvin Miller explained all that to the board at the time. And they were told, it's a barbell approach, all the kids on the 1st floor, this is what we're gonna do, you don't need to worry about the storm shelter if you don't want to. So they voted no on that storm shelter, so I'm just wondering now why this 3-story, we have no storm shelter for those kids, and now you're going to bring all the staff down onto that one hallway in the educational wing. I'm concerned about their safety and how they're all, I mean, yeah, you can harden the walls, whatever, but now you've got 3 stories of kids
And it will
in
meet,
one space.
everything will meet code to make sure it's safe for storm shelter.
I would just
tornado
hope my
shelter.
kid would not be up on the 3rd floor and have to run down to the 1st. And going with that, are we still having this one main stairwell for the kids? This
So
one-
there's, as you see on the plans, there's one in the middle and there's one on each end of the pod. So there's 4 stairwells. So kids can come down from a couple different ways in each pod.
And those are emergency stairwells only?
No,
The others are gonna be used throughout the day.
they could be used throughout the day.
It could
Go
be.
outside, if you wanna go outside, you can go use the stairwell to go outside and go to the recess and come up, and you don't have to go through the building to do that. There's multiple ways for these kids to access areas in there. The middle one is, if you're using stuff to go downstairs to the dining area, that would be used because there's no reason to go outside. You can go through the middle, and then you're not disrupting any student classrooms or anything like that versus walking down long hallways that happen every day right now.
So they're gonna be using these other stairwells in the pods to go outside.
It could be, yeah. They want to go use it for recess. They could go down the stairs to outside, not disrupt any pod, and come up and down those areas.
Well, now we're talking about security again, because you have 3 layers of security coming in the front door. What are those layers of security on those other outside doors if kids are gonna be going in and out those all day long to the playground?
So again, just like we have right now with playground recess, we have adult supervision and we have locked doors. Those doors aren't open for anybody to come in and out of. But we'll continue to have those pieces just like we have now to make sure that things are safe.
Are they glass doors now? Are they glass doors?
Yeah.
When you look at the.
When you go
the
to
whole
every one of our
design,
buildings, the front entrances are all glass doors. You go to Broadway to the elementary school, it's glass doors to get in. So that doesn't change, but the safety of those things, as people worry about things, how to access, we'll have things that, again, meet code to make sure it's safe for everybody.
So one thing with the tornado I do want to add, I go to Columbus a lot and I meet with a lot of legislators in the Huntington building, and if you've ever been to Columbus, it's ginormous, right? Really tall. And there were some storms last spring that were coming through, and you could actually feel the building at the top, like moving, and that's how high up I was. And because of the weather safety, like the storm was like 2 hours away, and the weather service actually sent a message to the legislators and we had to evacuate the high floors and go down. We actually moved, there's a tunnel underneath that goes to the State House. It's really cool. And so we went and finished our meetings in the State House. And so the storms ended up not even hitting, but they had multiple hours of notice from the National Weather Service, just like we do with the sirens and things. And they had to have, I mean, that was thousands of people in that building that they evacuated down and out and either into the below garage or to the State House. So I never felt unsafe, and I was like 20 floors up in a building that was actually swaying in the wind. So, because they had multiple out, thankfully, with our weather and our meteorology as it is now, we have multiple hours so that we can make arrangements. You know, I feel confident that, you know, we can make educated decisions on maybe we don't have our kiddos on the third floor. If something like today is a level 3 tornado warning, maybe we utilize that gym space and that cafeteria space and the extra space on the first floor for those purposes, because we'll have multiple hours of, you know,
We make
potentially
adjustments as we
knowing.
did last year. We had severe storms coming through during busing time. Like, okay,
Yeah.
let's allow early.
They stayed,
They stayed in
yeah.
school.
Well,
yeah.
that we actually got early, let them out. We let out early last year because of the storms coming in. We said, let's get the kids home, not in the middle.
It was a couple
of
years
bus-
ago when it
a
came through,
bus
they
route.
stayed.
Okay.
Yeah. It was a couple.
So we'll make adjustments.
Nope, I got
as
you.
needed, but it's
I
still-
got you.
but
I
still,
remember.
it's good. The code and everything is there
Yeah.
to make sure the kids are safe.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
the architecture, you know, the construction people as well as the working with the code enforcement and Miami County planning and building plans. They review the plans. They have to get permits. All those things are in place.
So I have a question. I noticed that there's a library designated on the first floor,
Mhm.
and there isn't on the other 2 floors. So does that mean that library will service all K through 8?
That'll be an area for things, but on the plans, there's gonna be spaces in those extended learning areas for books and resources to be there for grades.
Is that like the reading
Yes,
pod, I think?
so
is
the
called?
reading, that reading area, that extended learning space.
Okay.
So we want the books to be where the kids are.
Right.
So the staff will curate books for those grade levels. What are the kids are looking for? Let's get the books to where the kids are. So they don't have to keep coming back and forth. Let's have the adults put the books where they are, and they can rotate them through. I think we have some, if you have kids at LT Ball, how open that library is. It's utilized in a lot different ways, a lot more different ways than it was when it was down. I mean, now you see kids there all the time. They're using the tables that are there. It's kind of been more inviting, I think, in a lot of ways, and that's what we want it to be too. So we'll have the main library, because again, lunchtime, kids want to get a book, drop off a book, get it in, storefront, come in and out, go ahead. But we also have them out in the areas where the kids are at.
Okay. Another question I have, maybe I missed it, but is there an elevator
Yes.
in the building? Where is it?
It's in the middle, next to the stairwell. It's like 80-some square foot.
Is it red?
Yes.
I didn't bring my glasses.
That's-
I know, I was like, I didn't
Sometimes
get
it's
it
easier to
done.
blow up.
Doesn't hurt.
Sometimes it's easier to blow up when,
I feel you, sister, I'm like.
It won't like go any bigger. And I'm like, I don't know where it is. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Aaron, I may not know this because it's been many years, but do the kids have shop class anymore? They don't do that. Is that what life skills is? And they just don't have.
No, that's a separate piece. So you're looking at more when you get up. So one of the designated classrooms, because that's the way OCC is not. They look at classrooms for the SD design. They're saying, okay, you got to have so many classrooms, right? You got to have so many of this, so much. Those areas would turn into like the maker space. So that could be like right now we have maker space in the media center at Broadway. That maker space can have their own classroom now, where they would be doing robotics, doing all that stuff in there. At the middle school level, they do a lot of stuff with. I've seen Mr. Boniface do they build wind turbines type of thing, and they have a wind tunnel that they actually push it. So they would have a lab space for that as well. So there'd be space for that. Now, actually, they use maybe the hot glue guns and things like that. They're not
Wish.
using, I don't know if we want them using bandsaws and things like that at that age, but